Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cracking edition of the Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series, where we rather are talking to, and it is the first failure of the episode, where we're talking to successful entrepreneurs and CEOs all about their epic business blunders. And with us in the hot seat today is the CEO and founder of epicio.com, and his name is Ken Mills. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, you know what's coming, brother, so let's get into it, shall we? What is the elevator pitch? What are you guys up to over there at Epic.io?
Yeah, so we have lots of failure, so it's hard to pick just one, because we're tackling some of the most challenging topics today. We focus on artificial intelligence, which is kind of a crazy word these days, but we focus more on the computer vision side. We bundle in a little bit of IoT device management and AI around IoT sensor data, and then we top it off with usually some amount of 5G or connectivity to really solve meaty problems for customers in various verticals like energy, healthcare, retail, manufacturing. So, we build pizzas, as I like to say, instead of bringing Legos to customers with a bunch of pieces they have to figure out how to put together. So we bring the pizza of AI, IoT, and 5G together.
And I love pizza. So who are your
Yeah.
customers typically, brother? So I know obviously you're relevant to lots of different industries in that, but is it mainly an enterprise customer that's grappling with this stuff?
Yeah, large public sector, enterprise customers, that encompass healthcare, retail, manufacturing primarily. Those are our primary verticals.
Alrighty. Well, look, I'd love to spend more time with you on this particular segment, but we don't have time for that because we need to get into the meat and the potatoes of this particular series.
Yeah.
So, Ken, what is your epic story of fail for our audience around the world today?
Yeah, as I was preparing for this, it's always hard. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's pick which one, right? Because you kind of fail till you're fail to the top, I guess, because you hopefully learn from those failures. But I wanted to kind of pick a recent one, which was really in about 2020, when middle of COVID, as we kind of really launched this venture of Epic.io, and we were getting into the meaty challenge of attacking an ERP, which I know is super exciting. And how we went about kind of picking and picking who would lead that effort, and the whole decision making process around that turned out to be a real fail. And we are working our way through it today as we recover from that failed decision.
Mm-hmm. So, what actually transpired there? Like, where did you guys wind up in the end?
Yeah, so we are a company of nerds, and one of our core values is problem solving for our customers. It's actually the acronym of Epic.io is a group of different core values. One of those is P, problem solving, in the word epic. And so very rarely does our team sit around a table and say, no, we can't solve that problem, or we can't come up with a solution. So when we decided to launch an ERP, our technical team said, yeah, we could do it. We know how to do it. We'll get it done. And me, being an eternal optimist and wanting to lean in on my team and really wanting to take advantage of their attitude, I said, sure, let's go do it. Let's go make this ERP happen. And so, the three of us and a hapless consultant, bumbled down the road trying to launch this ERP with no skills whatsoever to do it.
So ERPs are a last. I don't know how long you've been in the space for, but do you remember PeopleSoft?
Yeah, I do.
I was like I was the guy like when the internet had sex and it had a browser, and then it was like, oh look, we can deploy our applications on the web.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when I was playing around with that sort of technology. So I understand the pain around ERP. But did you guys launch it successfully in the end?
We're in the process, actually, a few years later, fully getting it up and running and fully integrated. We've acquired a few companies since then and getting those fully integrated. But we were set back, almost 18 months just by making the wrong decision to start with. And we wasted a ton of cycles, a ton of time, money, just overall, as you started, right, a terrible blunder.
Mm-hmm. So Ken, when you think about that experience, what do you now take forward with you, in terms of a key lesson or insight into the business today?
Yeah, don't let hubris guide you into a terrible decision. Just because you think you can doesn't mean you can. Take a step back, really evaluate what you want to accomplish, what's necessary to get there, and really, just like any decision really should be made, is really just objectively determine: do I have the skills? Does my team really have the skills? Is this the right use of their skills and time? And really, really be selfish about that equation. That's probably the biggest mistake, is I wasn't selfish enough as CEO to say, what do I want this team doing the most? And it wasn't launching an ERP, right? We should have outsourced that to someone who does it for a living, and have that team focus on what they really are good at in solving these customer problems that we make a living on.
For sure, man. So Ken, if you could get into the Matt Brown show time machine, obviously with the luxury of hindsight, go back to yourself at the beginning of this whole journey, what would you do differently and why?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think about that all the time. And, first thing I would do is, take the technology team and remove them from the conversation, and let them focus on what they need to really focus on. And then really get the business team, the finance team together, with a really good consultant that I reference checked thoroughly, and sat down and said, all right, let's deploy this, and deploy it as if we had no technology team, no smart people in the room that we could lean on, and make sure we funded and hired the right team with that mindset. I think if we would have done that, we would have been way ahead of where we ended up.
Yeah, I've been in the technology development building game for a while too. Like, I had this massive services business, and then we were like, well, hang on, how do we generate like more subscription revenue? And we'll build platforms. So we started to build platforms. One of the biggest frustrations for me was talking to a technical brain. It's kind of like they talk another language. So I'm a visionary. So when I say we're going there, we're fucking going there. And then it was always a case of like the technology team. Like, if you don't have the right people in that team, almost like your CTO almost needs to be a visionary too. And oftentimes you get the, well, it can't be done. It's like, no. We put a man on the moon like 50 fucking years ago. I think you can build this thing. It's been built
with
before.
A calculator.
So, you know what I mean? I just found like that whole, like that particular engagement to be very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I have a visionary CTO, and I'm a visionary like you. I'm a can-do kind of guy. So is he. So like, that's probably part of the problem, is that we both looked at ourselves. Yeah, we could do this, instead of maybe having that straight person in the room that said, no, we can't do this. So maybe finding that balance was definitely a lesson learned.
For sure, man. That's funny. Well, look, Ken, what's your advice now to the CEOs about, the importance of failing, or the process of failure, in terms of becoming successful as a team and business?
Yeah, I know you've heard this a number of times on your show, as I've watched in the past, but it's cannot be said enough. Is just fail fast, right? I mean, just acknowledge you made a mistake. Don't try to fix the mistake or make it right through some crazy gymnastics of ideas and execution. Just say, look, we screwed up. That was a wrong choice. We should have gone right. We went left. Let's just abandon the idea of left, and let's go right, and not get bogged down by that sunk cost fallacy, and just without regard, without passion, just make a change. And that's one of the things that I think people don't do enough, is they try to make a bad decision right, versus just acknowledging that bad decision is wrong in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, probably one of the worst decisions I've ever heard about. Like, funny story for you to share with your team, because obviously you're in the innovation business. So I do a lot of speaking on professionally and whatever. I always used to use this story whenever I was talking about leadership and innovation and stuff like that. So I spoke about the moon landing, right? It's like, we put a man on the moon over 50 years ago. When do you think we put wheels on bags?
Oh, I just saw this. I think it was like 1970 something,
dude,
right?
It was like 3 years after we put a man on the moon.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I mean, come on. Like if that's not a failure, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And sometimes great things come out of failure. Like, we got 3M with the Post-it note, which was a failed sticky solution that they intended to be a lot stronger than it ended up being. It was kind of a bust, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar business that everybody is glad they did, right? I mean, so sometimes those failures can turn into great opportunities, and we've had that happen to us as well.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, man. Ken, what about books, tools, and resources that you recommend?
I'm not trying to pitch another company's technology, but man, we've invested in a product called Gong recently, a Gong IO, and that platform is awesome, right? So it's a really great example of taking this whole generative AI and this natural language processing AI concept that we hear so much about and turn it into a real solution for companies and being able to really analyze our conversations that we're having with customers and really look at, are we having the right conversations? Are we talking about the right things? Are we listening to our customers? Are we engaging them properly? Are we asking for the business? I mean, man, it's been awesome, the amount of training and the speed of adoption and improvement it's made in our organization. I think that's where I would say is, that's a tool as an example, but there's so many other tools like that that companies need to not be afraid to try. And again, fail fast, right? If Gong doesn't work for you, cancel, do something else, right? Find the tool that works, that generates the return and value. And I really do think AI, not just because we sell it, but AI in general can be a 3x or a 10x opportunity for a lot of companies if used correctly.
Yeah, man, for sure. Excuse me. Quickly, what's the name of that? Is it gong.io or something? What's the website?
Yeah.
Is it gong.io?
Yeah, gong.io. Yeah.
I'll bring that up for everybody. Gong.io. So what is it? Is it like a sales sort of tool?
Yeah, so it could be customer success, it could be sales, it can be lots of different things. We use it for customer success and sales, where we record all those calls. And then we set up insight trackers to say, how often are people talking about our Deep Insights software product, which is our core technology? That's the crust of the pizza that I talked about. Are they talking about the crust enough? Because everybody knows a good pizza is foundation is built on a great crust. Or are they talking about other things that don't matter, right? So how many missed opportunities are we having with those customers by not talking about what we do? Are they asking for the sale, right? Are they listening to their customer? Are they answering the questions clearly? So it really does a great analysis of that. And then it ties into your CRM and says, hey, this sales rep forecasted this deal for next week. And you look at Gong and say, look, they haven't had a conversation with that customer in a month. Is it really going to close next week? Not likely, right? So it gives you that kind of great data to really, check the system.
Very, very cool, buddy. Well, I'm going to check that out for sure. Well, look, Ken, thank you so much for coming on to the show, brother. You've got a great business solving a hard thing or building hard things that solve hard things. And hard things are the things that are usually the most valuable things out there. So,
that's right. Magic equals margin.
Oh, there you go, dude. There you go. Yeah, man, just thanks for being vulnerable, brother, and lending your perspective on the series. And obviously it goes without saying, like, wishing you and the rest of the team there at Epic.io all the very best of the future.
You as well. Thanks. Appreciate the time.
All righty. Everybody else, we'll see you again soon. Ciao, ciao.
There you go.